said that, you found the people praying in different fashion here. We abhor apartheid. We were born and brought up for the last umpteen years. It's only 5 years apartheid was abandoned here. But one of the things that put us at tremendous disadvantage was that India, in all those years from 1947, never allowed us to bring priests. The Tamil and Telugu people particularly suffered very much from this ban. The Gujaratis, for some unknown reason, the Gujaratis and the Muslims were always able to bring their priests. So their religions and their religious practices have been intact. But when it came to the Tamil and Telugu people, we had no religious contact with India. Then about 20 years ago, one gentleman called Mr. V.M. Reddy and I decided to break the ban. So we went to Sri Lanka, and there we contacted Mr. Manivasagan, who I think is a leading figure in South Indian religion, or Tamils, the religion of the Tamils. And he runs a Murugan temple at north of Colombo. And then he said he'll help us, and then he put us in contact with the various gurukuls. And that is how the Sri Lankan gurukuls were able to, gurukuls came to South Africa. And today, from what started 20 years ago, the introduction of Sri Lankan priests to South Africa made a major difference to the South African Tamil worshippers. We were able not only to revive prayers to Lord Shiva, Murugan and all the Tamil deities, but you find that they have standardized the form of worship here. And some people tell us that the mode of worship in South India varies from the kind of worship that the gurukuls of Sri Lanka promote. But in South Africa, I think we have achieved a fair degree of uniformity by these gurukuls. Wherever the gurukuls are, we seem to see that they have a common pattern of how to worship. So in this country, you will find that if there is any Sri Lankan influence in any other part of the world, ours is running virtually parallel to that. That's a very interesting feature. And I think, like one Tamil leader said last year in the Kavadi festival, had it not been for the Sri Lankan priests, Tamil worship here would have collapsed. It might have given way to the North Indian form of worship, because the North Indians, particularly the Hindi and the Gujaratis, have been reinforced by numbers of priests who came freely and went freely. We don't know, sometimes there is a feeling that this was a prejudice generated by India, where they suppressed the southerner and promoted the northerner. This is even in India today, they will also அந்த வடநாடுகாரன் கெட்டு போனாங்க. So அந்த மாதிரி இந்த ஊரில் we are grateful to Sri Lanka in a large measure, because their priests saved the South Indian religion from extinction. So, you might find a common denominator between what you all are doing in the Sydney Murugan temple and what we are doing in our temples. Of course, in this country, you have a small percentage of Murugan temples. Most of our temples seem to be named Subramaniya Alayams. We have the Murugan temples. We have the Vaidyanatha Iswara Alayam is the only Vaidyanatha Iswara Alayam in this country. Of course, in Transvaal now we have a new temple called Sundari Iswara Temple. That's the first one of its kind under that deity. But there are plenty of Murugan temples. There's a Murugan Alayam not far from here, about 6 kilometers, in a place called Cloud. Very powerful, very influential temple. And perhaps you've come at an opportune moment, because in South Africa we are celebrating the 140th anniversary of the coming of the first Indians to this land. And of the first indentured Indians who arrived here, 75% were Tamils. And today, in the present day South Africa, of course, the Tamil population has dwindled. We have 1.2 million Indians in this country, and of the 1.2 million Indians in this country, about 800,000 are Hindus, and 55% of that are Tamils of Tamil origin. But like many parts in the world where expatriate Indians have gone, Tamils here I think are a little better off than Mauritius and Sydney. A fair percentage of us can still speak Tamil. A large percentage of the Tamil people understand Tamil, and about 15% of the Tamilians here can still read, write and speak the Tamil language. So we are not so far off in the conduct of custom. There will be variations, of course. And your biggest festival here are the Kahavadi festivals. We have two Kavadis here. One is the Thaipusam Kavadi and the other Kavadi is Chitraparvam Kavadi. And the biggest Kavadi celebration is held in a place called Tongad, which is about 30 kilometers north of Durban. And there the average crowd for a Kavadi festival is about 25 to 30,000 people. The Vaidyanatha Iswaralayam is the second largest Kavadi, where they have about 18 to 20,000 people annually to celebrate the Kavadi. But the Kavadi is one of the fastest growing Tamil religious festivals in this country. And then, I don't know, Anton, if I'm correct, whether this word Paratasi is unique to this country, because in India they laughed at me when they said Paratasi is dedicated to Lord Venkateshwara or Perumal Swami. And in this country, the Paratasi is the second largest following among the South Indian people. 90% of all Tamils observe the Paratasi. And yet people tell me that the origin of the Perumal Swami prayers come from Tirupati, which is basically Venkateshwara, who is Andhra by tradition. But here, during the month of Paratasi, a strange thing happens. People don't drink, no alcoholic spirits. Now, of course, you are referring to Paratasi. You actually see a dive in the Indian butcheries. You have butcher shops. If you want to see the effect of Paratasi, two places you see. You see the bottle stores and you see the butcher shops. Business definitely goes down during that month. And the Paratasi is generally 4 to 5 weeks. Traditionally, I would say 50% of the Tamil and Telugu people observe Paratasi for a month. And in Paratasi you can observe 1 week, or you can observe 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And it is a major festival which has big economic impact in this province. A lot of our economy is dictated to by the Indian population. And in this city it is called the Little India. And I would say those, of course we have all the other Tamil festivals in this country. Paratasi, we have Kartika Deepam, we do Deepavali, we do this Mariamman festival here in the month of Adi. So I would say that some of the things we are doing here are not even being practiced in India anymore. They seem to have survived here, but you don't see it in India. We're doing certain things which religious leaders from India have been stunned that this has survived in this country and not even in India. Of course, don't ask the progress of the Tamil people. I think we have failed from the point of education of the Tamil language. But we have maintained the ritual, and a lot of our religious practices are ritualistic. We haven't reached that stage in this country where the philosophic Saivite influence is ruling. There is a Saivite influence in this country, but that would be roughly 8% to 7 to 8%, not even 10% of our people follow the real Saivite philosophy. And one can understand that because of the environmental differences. To practice Saivism, I think you need a real Indian background. It will not survive in a Western background because I think it is too rigid for South Africans to follow Saivism. But you might be very interested to know that the World Saivite Conference was held here 2 years ago. South Africa was the headquarters. And it was that conference which put Saivism on the map. And there is a bit of friction when Saivism is talked about, because those who are not Saivites, people who are Vaishnavites and otherwise, they believe that Saivism is a more fanatical form of promoting Tamil, the Tamil forum. and therefore they don't have a very big following in this country.
Protasi also celebrated in Jaffna people. The reason that Protasi is a special, particular Protasi Saturdays, special day for Saturn, Sunny. That is the only time we celebrate it, because Saturn we fear, most of the Saivites fear, he is the one bringing all the curse. So in order to get away from that, or the Graha, so that's what we celebrate Protasi, nothing else actually. But I don't think we have anything other than Protasi Chani every Saturday. So I don't know whether you also do the same thing during the Protasi.
Yes, because Saturdays here, it began with the Telugu people. They used to observe Saturdays as a totally, meat-free, liquor-free, luxury-free Saturday to appease. That's why they say Sanivaram. Tamil வந்து சனிக்கிழமைன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஸோ அவங்கக்கிட்ட பார்த்துக்கின்னு தமிழர் கூட இந்த சனிக்கிழமை வந்து இந்த ஊரில் ரொம்ப தமிழர் கூட வந்து இது குடி இதெல்லாம் சாப்பிடுறது இல்லை. ஆனால் இந்த ஊரில் என்ன ஆயிடுச்சுங்க, அந்த சனிக்கிழமை மாத்திரம் இல்லை, அந்த மாதத்துக்கு 30 நாளுக்கு வந்து அந்த புரட்டாசி மாதம் சுத்தமாக வந்து அண்ணா வந்து விரதம் எடுப்பாங்க. பைஸ்கோப் கூட போகிறது இல்லைங்க. போய் பார்த்தாக்கா யார் ஒரு தமிழ் பைஸ்கோப் போகிறது இல்லை. ஆனால் அது ஒரு நல்ல அது கொஞ்சம் நல்ல மரியாதையோட பண்றாங்க. அது வந்து
சினிமா போறது இல்லையா?
சினிமா கூட போறது இல்லையா?
சினிமா கூட போறது இல்லை. அப்போ ரிஃப்ளைன் லைக் முஸ்லீம்
like anything that arouses the senses.
Oh right, that's it. So
and that's catching on now that Brother Anton is here. One of the things I have noticed, there is a terrible fanatism by the Muslims here. Everything, if they can say you must make that flower halal, they'll want to tag on it to say it's halal. Because they control the commerce. Butcher shops, all the products must be halal. So any product that doesn't have the halal sign that's consumable, there's a big fuss going on. But in the Pratasi month, even the Muslim restaurants cook vegetarian food and tell you no meat dishes available for the month of Pratasi. They fall in line.
Surprising.
Which is surprising, but the Muslim
even Muslims they don't eat.
Not the Muslims don't eat, they won't sell.
They won't sell.
They observe that because there's a lot of fast foods here. So because the working class man is a South Indian and he buys his food from those fast food centers in the city areas, quite a few of them will put observance for Paratasi, please note no meat dishes available.
What about Saraswati Puja here?
Saraswati Puja we do Navaratri.
Navaratri, that's what I mean.
Navaratri, we do Navaratri, we do the other big function here is Shivaratri. It's big. It's very big. I think 80% of all South Indians observe Shivaratri. We have, at the last count in KwaZulu-Natal, 172 temples observe the Shivaratri. You know why we know this? The South African Tamil Federation, there was a lot of confusion here. Each Tamil leader was giving his version of Shivaratri. And some of these meanings given to significance of the Tamil religion is laughable. And in a Western society, not only the white man laughs at some of our significance, the way we're explaining it here, even our children are laughing at the way we are explaining some of our Tamil religion and customs. So for Shivaratri, I was asked to drop a poster, leave it to drop a folded handbill, and this was for distribution to 140 temples. 5,000, between 1,000 to 5,000 handbills per temple to publicize the Shivaratri, and on that was the Tamil meaning of Shivaratri and the English translation. But we took certain liberties because, like somebody one day said that Ganesha is an elephant-headed god. Then one Christian gentleman very rightly said, then do you have a donkey-headed god and do you have a lion-headed god? He had a point. You shouldn't. That is true. Ganesha has the upper half, or he has the trunk of a elephant, but there's a way of saying it. You don't say elephant-headed and mouse-headed. So the expression was wrong and they capitalized on it. For Shivaratri, that is how I can give you an accurate figure of how many temples celebrated Shivaratri in KwaZulu-Natal, 137 temples picked up their handbills from here. We did the dispatch from here as a voluntary thing because we have administration. And altogether, I think in South Africa we have about 216 temples at the last count.
Mostly in Natal.
Mostly Natal. Natal is where they have a lot of temples.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, we've also find that, religion, if it's losing ground, is that it's not meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
We are not explaining to a westernized young generation logically why we do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you tell children, we put a big leaf and we put food for God, he laughs because after 15 minutes nobody ate the food.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to know where did God come there, he didn't eat the food.
Mm-hmm.
You must make it more meaningful, and I think the lack of that interpretation
mm-hmm.
of religious rituals, as you call it, or customs or traditions, if they made meaningful, the ridicule will go away.
Mm-hmm.
And you must also realize that except for the Catholic Church in this country, other religions like religious Christian movements like the Seventh-day Adventists, the Latter-day Christianity has a very aggressive campaign to convert Hindus. And when Hindus get confused by these meanings, they relate to the Christian religion because it is in the English language. So that is the one big danger. That's why we believe that if you want Hinduism to survive in this country, we have to bring out teachers from India who will not interpret religion as it was interpreted in the 16th century in Saivite India. They must relate to today and give the younger people a reason why Tamil religion has so much logic and has so much common sense.
Mm-hmm.
That ingredient is missing, then we'll lose out in the ultimate. One of the things already is because of the westernization of this country and job security. If you want a good job in this country, you must know English and Zulu in this province, English and another black language. Before it was English and Afrikaans. So the concentration has gone on the security of job tenure. And because Tamil doesn't bring any food on the table, they'll give learning of Tamil last preference.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you learnt a bit of music, English music,
mm-hmm.
it'll bring you some money because in the night you can go and play in the nightclubs and all that, and you can play on all your clubs and Western functions, you can earn some money. But unless you have some people who promote Indian culture, it has its following.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a following that can commercially bring you any money.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, you find that a lot of youngsters from the Tamil community are drifting to a lot of Western tendencies, a lot of Western causes, and they seem to be winning.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we don't have government support here for anything that is Indian. We have self-funding. Before Mandela came into power, the other government that ran this country on a three-system basis, we had a parliament for Indians, we had a homeland system for the black people, and you had the Western Parliament for the Englishmen, and you had a House of Representatives for the colored people. In those budgets, there was money available to promote Indian languages. With the coming of the new ANC government, that's one of the things we feel betrayed in this country, and I'm not afraid to say this. I think that's where Mandela betrayed this country. You gave us a constitution in which you guaranteed minority rights, but you didn't implement it. And when Mandela gave up his presidentship and stood down in favor of Thabo Mbeki has not lifted a finger to help the minorities. Now, without state funding, I don't think we can promote Indian culture for much longer because it's costing a lot of money. Your friend Anton is one of the patrons of Indian culture. He always helps the cultural causes. But there are too few Antons and too many causes.
Mm-hmm. How is the Tamil teaching in the schools? I thought they are doing it.
Well, we have a few schools which work on a limited budget in this province only. There is Tamil being taught, and that Tamil teachers are being paid 50% by the community and 50% by the state. But the state is also very clever. What they have done is they've said if you have less than 15 students in a class, you cannot have a Tamil class. Now our problem is how to get 15, you can get 15 students out of 800 students, but that doesn't pay the teacher. One class in a school with 15, the teacher needs at least 4 classes a day of 15, so we're not able to turn the numbers out. So in a lot of places, even those places that taught Tamil, they're falling foul of the number 15. So that doesn't help us, but they are teaching Tamil. And some people are teaching adult conversational Tamil. எப்படி தமிழ் பேசணும், யாராவது தமிழ் வந்தாக்க என்ன பேசணுட்டு conversational Tamil. படிக்கிறதுக்கு ஒன்று கற்றுக்கிறது, படிக்கணும், அது எழுதணுன்னுட்டு அது இல்லையே இந்த ஊரில்.
பிள்ளைகள் ஸ்கூலுக்கு அந்த கோயிலுக்கு போகிறதுக்கு பேரண்ட்ஸோட போகிறதுக்கு கஷ்டப்படுங்க willingly they are going.
No, yeah, it is a problem. இந்த ஊரில் வந்து இது முக்கியமானது, அது வந்து அது காரணம் வந்து இந்த தாயார் தாப்பனர் இருக்காங்கப்பா, அவங்க முயற்சி செய்யறது இல்லை. சனிக்கிழமை வந்தாக்க, ஞாயிற்றுக்கிழமை வந்தாக்கா கல்யாணத்துக்கு போகணும், எங்கே போகணும், கிளப்புக்கு போகணும், பீச்சுக்கு போகணும், அதுக்கெல்லாம் இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் கொடுக்குறாங்க. கோவிலுக்கு போகணும்னுட்டு அது ஒரு முயற்சி பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. So as a result, there is no inspiration for the children. And what's also happening, if they send it like Mondays is service, my grandchildren will come now. They've gone to service, but a lot of people, they're not even sending the children. You see, you must not send your children. In the beginning, if you go as parents, the children will get into the habit. If you sit in your house because you want to have a few whiskeys with your friend or you want to see a blue film on TV, get rid of them. That is not sending the Tamil children to the service. Even our services are depleted. There are more adults in our Tamil prayer groups and services than there are children. We have actually lost the children because of the lack of discipline. And one of the other big tragedies is how drugs has crept into the South Indian community. Tamil மாத்திரம் இல்லைங்க, தெலுங்கார் கூட இருக்கிறாங்க. ஆனால் இந்த ஊரில் தெலுங்காருனாக்கா அது ஜாஸ்தி பார்த்தாக்கா இந்த ஊரில் 50,000 தெலுங்கார் இருக்காங்க. ஆனால் அந்த 50,000 தெலுங்காரில் வந்து ஒரு 300 மனுஷால் தான் தெலுங்கு பேசுறதுக்கு தெரியும். தெலுங்கு எழுதுறதுக்கு, பேசுறதுக்கு, படிக்கிறதுக்கு வந்து அந்த 300 கூட ஒரு 75 மனுஷால் தான் இருக்கு. தெலுங்கான நல்லா மேலே வந்து they have suffered most.
ரேடியோ அந்த மாதிரி, ரேடியோ மீடியா அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கு.
மீடியா வந்து அது ஒரு பெரிய அநியாயம். இந்த ஊரில் வந்து முக்கியமாக வந்து இந்த டிக்ளேர் கவர்மெண்ட்ல தனியாக ஒரு இடம் இருந்துச்சு, அந்த ஒரு இந்தியன் கவுன்சில்னு ஹவுஸ் ஆஃப் டெலிகேட்ஸ் இருந்துச்சு. அதனால வந்து டு கிவ் தெம் credibility, they gave Indians a chance to promote the languages. They had a language promotion act. But when the new South Africa came, not one Indian language is in your official list. There are 11 official languages here. Not one Indian language figures in your official languages. Then there were some regular programs here. We used to get one program used to come for us from Swaziland. 2 programs were beamed by the South African Broadcasting Corporation for Indians. But from 1995, that went. Now there isn't a single Indian language program on your television. We have 11 programs on television, on the SABC channels. Now, you don't have one of them in an Indian language. But every Sunday, SABC, the South African Broadcasting Corporation, which is the governing body for television and radio, they give us a Sunday program called Eastern Mosaic. It starts at 11:30 and starts at 10 o'clock and finishes at 11:30. But in that 1.5 hours there, and what's happening, sadly, it is not orientated to the languages. They show you programs from India or from Sri Lanka or Singapore, those are Tamil. But whatever in this country is for Tamils is always expressed through the English language. For example, I will say, you take a program, they will say that the Indian Academy last week presented a program, an Arangetram of Bharatanatyam featuring so and so. They will show you the Arangetram piece, but no more Tamil will be allowed on the commentary. You must speak the commentary in the English language. And of course, in all governments, I think you have a lot of, square pegs and round holes. And here too, there is a selection of the people that are supposed to be promoting media. They put all sorts of ideas because the person who's running this program on Eastern Mosaic, her name is Brenda Kali. And Amma per வந்து Brindaswari. So Brenda Kali and அந்த பேர் போட்டு அந்த அம்மா வந்து ஒரு வெள்ளக்காரனை கல்யாணம் பண்ணிச்சு. அது கல்யாணத்தில் ஒன்றும் தவறு இல்லைங்க. ஆனால் இந்த பொம்பளையை வந்து தமிழ் வார்த்தை தமிழ் மொழியான விட்டு இந்த பொண்ணு வந்து அவங்க மேலே வெள்ளக்கார ஆயிடுச்சு. ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி இன்ஃப்ளூயன்ஸ். இன்னொரு மீடியா வந்து ஈஸ்ட் நெட் நல்ல ப்ரோக்ராம். அதில் வந்து வாரத்துக்கு ரெண்டு ஹவர் நடத்துகிறாங்க. அதில் வாரம் தமிழ் வந்து தனியாக ½ an hour அவங்க கொடுக்குறாங்க. ஆனால் அது வந்து கமர்ஷியல் ஸ்டேஷன், கேபிள் டிவி. லண்டன்லேருந்து ZTV உங்களுக்கு வருது நான் நினைக்கிறேன், சிட்னியில் வரல. ZTV அது அநேகமாக வந்து ஹிந்தி ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ். ஆனால் நாங்களாம் எங்கள் சண்டை போட்டு இந்த ஊரில் ZTV வந்து வாரத்துக்கு பதம் வந்து ஒரு தமிழ் படம் காமிக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ ஓவரால் பார்த்தாக்கா இந்த ஊரில் ஒன்றும் இல்லை. இந்த ஊரில் தனியாக ஒரு ப்ரோக்ராம் ஒரு ஹவர் வாரத்துக்கு. அதில் வந்து இந்த 5 பாஷை பாடுவாங்க. ஒரு உருது ஐட்டம், சம்திங் டு டூ வித் உருதுஸ், சம்திங் டு டூ வித் தமிழ்ஸ், ஒன் தெலுங்கு சாங். But there is no dedicated program for the Tamil people here. The only thing that is coming is ZTV's once a week on a Wednesday evening. There's a full feature Tamil film.
So, I want to ask a prediction in about 10 years prior in the Tamil Nadu, what is the condition will be?
இந்த கோவில் விஷயத்துல அது தேடி வந்துடும். ரிச்சுவல்ஸ் தமிழ் கோவிலுக்கு போகிறது, இந்த காவடி இதெல்லாம் இருக்கும். ஆனால் தமிழ் பேசுறதுக்கு போயிடும். அது பேசுறதுக்கு படிக்கிறதுக்கு எத்தனையோ ஸ்ரீலங்காலேருந்து கூட தமிழ் கார்டியன் ஒரு தமிழ் பேப்பர் வருது ஐயா. நான் பிறந்தது வளர்ந்தது தெலுங்கு பையன், நான் ஆந்திரா. ஆனால் என்னோட ஸ்நேகிதங்கள்லாம் இப்போ சின்னவனாக இருக்கிறப்ப நான் தமிழோட சேர்ந்து கொஞ்சம் தமிழ் பேசுறதுக்கு கொஞ்சம் படிக்கிறதுக்கு தெரியும். ஆனால் அந்த தமிழ் கார்டியன் வந்த உடனே நான் வந்து 2 வெர்ஷன்ஸ், ஒரு இங்கிலீஷ் வெர்ஷன் ஒரு தமிழ் வெர்ஷன். ஸ்ரீலங்காலேருந்து தமிழ் கார்டியன் வருது, இல்லை பாரிஸ்லேருந்து உன்னோட இப்போ இங்கே நாங்கள் அச்சு எடுக்கிறோம். நான் வந்து எவ்வளோ பணம் வசூல் பண்ணுறேன் இந்த ஊரில் கோவிலுக்கு ஏதாவது விஷயத்துக்கு. நானே போய் கேட்டு மனுஷால கேட்டு I couldn't enroll 250 subscribers for the Tamil edition, but I got about 3,000 for Tamil Guardian. See, so அவங்களுக்கு வந்து அந்த படிக்கிறதுக்கு சக்தி இல்லை. அதனால ஏதாவது நம்ம தமிழ்ல இருந்தாக்கா இந்த வாலிபர் வந்து சிரிப்பாங்க, வயசானவங்க எல்லாம் மறந்துட்டாங்க. அதுக்கு மார்க்கெட்டே கிடையாது. We have always taken our cue from the gurukuls who arrived here. In the last 20 years, people have followed these gurukuls without question, and no doubt they've done a wonderful job. So if you ask anybody if they'll be happy, if it is done according to the gurukuls who have come from Sri Lanka, and we have about 28 of them in this country, all original Sri Lankan citizens coming from the Parampara. We have Tanikasu Gurukul here, first class man. We have Radhakrishnan Gurukul in Amgeni Road. The Murugan Bhakti is being dictated to by them, and people seem to be comfortable with that. So if it is that kind of Murugan Bhakti or Murugan worship, if it compares anywhere near to what you are doing in the Murugan Kovil at Sydney, I think any South African will be comfortable. The other very gratifying thing is the South African Tamil is a very tolerant fellow. He's not rebellious when it comes to religion. He'll quietly put up. I think that's a great fault of his. He quietly puts up with a lot of things he shouldn't be putting up with. But he's not the revolting type. He won't come and burst out in your temple congregation and say this is wrong and that is silly. So you won't have that kind of reaction. But if it is drastically, if what you are doing in the Murugan Kovil at Sydney is quite different from what we are, all the Murugan Alayams here are standardized. There's nothing different whether you go to Jacob's Road Murugan Alayam or you go to Keita Manor Road Murugan Alayam, or you go to Chatsworth Murugan Alayam.
Mm-hmm.
There are four Murugan Alayams here in Chatsworth.
Mm-hmm.
The practice with all the priests are from Sri Lanka.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have a Siva Subramania Alayam here on top of the hill, and we were fortunate or unfortunate, we brought a priest from Tanjavur.
Mm-hmm.
It was completely different. In the end, it wasn't a success. So we had to, after 2 years, we didn't want to fire him. But after 2 years, we sent him back to India. And